What up, y'all? How you guys feeling today? Hopefully good. I mean, today was a great day so far. Um, we traded SPY, we traded NQ, and I don't even normally trade Mondays, but today was a really good Monday. And so, my bad. Let me get the backwood lit real quick. But um, today was a really great day. What I wanted to do in this video, obviously you can tell by the title. Um, we got some market reviewing to do. All right. Now, obviously, looking at SPY, right? The reason why I do these market reviews a certain way is when we're focused and we are able to actually come in and operate from the market's perspective, we'll be able to come in and do some incredible stuff and be able to see the same things week per week that play out. So when we talk about PD arrays we like, whether it's a fair value gap or whether it's like a different um type of idea, whether it's a turtle soup. You feel what I'm saying? Okay. But my thing is, right, and I'm smoking some different type of weed than I've been smoking. Yo, you should have seen my face just now. I hit the blunt a certain way and I forgot it was different. I said, you know the weed is good when all you can do is hit it and look at it. Like, what the hell? Anyway, so my point is, this week, what was the main thing that we needed to focus on? All right. And we'll actually get to today on the Monday too as well. But before we get there, I want to talk about this Monday through Friday. All right. So now obviously when I'm trading futures, I'm trading forex or options, like I'm typically starting on a hour chart. The reason why I'm on a 15-minute chart now is because I'm just looking to plop in my vertical lines, okay? And for those who are asking me, I got DMs about this. The indicator that I use that is for SPY and QQQ and other options I'm trading, instead of like the sessions indicator, because that's some bullshit. And for at least for this one, you want to operate with what I call weekdays. Okay. And I can show you. It's where we at? This one right here, the one DV days of the week. Okay. Damn, this week's crazy. Really good to separate your days of the literal week. Okay, it's a kindergarten type concept. And so I'm telling you to be able to do the same thing and you're trading here because you want to come in and operate not just week at a time, day at a time, but you're trying to keep up with the narrative, not just for profits, but keeping up with the narrative so you understand where um, you have certain expectations for a certain day. Okay. The more you see it week by week with these reviews, you'll be super versed in what you're expecting from um, a certain day of the week and bring that to liquidity and time. It sounds slightly like annoying to do, but it's only voluntary for you right now because you're learning. It'll be involuntary to you the more you try it. Now, what I'm talking about, right, is weekdays. The settings, right? It's standard. Okay. So you can come in and change the colors how you want. Now, these are my colors. You can change these if you to mine or whatever, right? And you can use this for Bitcoin as well too. Okay. A way to get some edibles later. So When we talk later, bro, I'm gonna be zooted. Oh my god. I'm gonna still do a video too. Ooh, blunt kicking my ass. Ooh. But long story short, and people think that like, I'm promoting like trading while not, sober. But this is for me, not you. All right. Like I said, you understand yourself before you get to the chart. All right. Now, the first thing when I look at this Monday, what's the first thing it looks like? Some straight dog shit. And that was a little joke. But what I'm saying is when we're dipping into the Monday, right? I'm looking for AMD. So, me personally, I don't normally trade Mondays like today I did, but normally I'm using AMD in some sort of way, shape, or form. And typically, like I know that the Monday is not going to be a fun situation a lot. Um, unless you are comfortable with scalping or really, really small objectives versus, instead of one big objective, right? Stay away from the Monday. If you don't like smaller intraday moves and you would rather get the lion's share, which is understandable. So you want to be really careful on a Monday. But when we're diving into this, right, let's do this first. So when we're here, let's go down to a 5, right? Because we're on 15. All right. Now, this is a big thing. All right. This price action here is actually not very, very hard to navigate, but it's difficult for those who have a certain expectation or not used to actually switching your intention in the marketplace. And what I'm talking about is people who are day traders versus swing traders versus scalpers. Yes, there's different types of setups for each one of those, and you have to be understanding of which one it is. So when I'm saying it like this, right, and liquidity is a big, big piece of it. But what I'm saying is when you're operating in a certain area, right? And for example, I'm doing 9:30 a.m. and I'm gonna do the next 9:30. All right. Now we're just in this area. We're not super, super focused on what's over here yet, but we're looking here. Okay. What I want you to do, this looks pretty consolidated. So A for a Monday is pretty much what's on my mind here. Now, some people might confuse it for an X because it actually does have some sort of movement, right? Now watch. Right? So if we were to look at the whole thing, and I mean on a 5 minute chart between now and Friday, is this AMD X or is it X AMD? And my advice, right, before I tell you, you really want to be looking at the Monday, verifying it by Tuesday, if it's XA or AM, pretty much. So what I want you to do, because we talked about this before on this channel, and we're obviously operating your Goldbach levels, okay? Let's get down here and we can replay and do day at a time, all right? So for the sake of your eardrums, not gonna take forever, okay? And it's funny, someone asked me the other day, they're like, yo, why don't you just do like shorter videos? And I'm like, no, no. The video will be as long as it needs to be based on the content. And that's because I'm an asshole. I mean, I am, but that's because I'm an asshole. It's just because, like, the way that I like to deliver certain concepts to you, it's in long form. And so when I'm talking about certain stocks like this, right? Everything we do is a movie, not in reality. But what I'm saying is, like, all these concepts build upon each other, right? So actually, not even a movie. Let's be more accurate. This is a TV show. This is a TV show. That's why you guys get episodes the way you do. And it says full episode. These are full episodes. I'm not giving out trailers. I don't have time for that. So my point is, right, and let's get in here, right? I said this before about stocks. You can really come in and dominate the 3 and the 9. Do you see how the 9, just for me being on like a Monday by itself, the way it is, it looks like kind of too big, right? When I go down to the 3, it looks a lot more form fitted. All right. See what I mean? Operating the fuck out of the three. Now, my point, right, is not just always to our left that's like engaging between the high and the low. But what I'm saying is when you're operating the Monday, how would you be able to come in and make some money here? That's our point. That's our objective here, right? And so I might not trade Mondays, but you might. So if you would like to do that, right? Before we get to like the interesting Tuesday and Wednesday, I'm giving you, for example, why this is so fun. So, for example, let's break down time. Okay. Now we are current on the three. So that means in this area when we open, right, at this 9:30, let's pop down here and check it out. So let's get down here exactly. We'll turn off weekdays. And then we will come in on a three. Let's do three. We get down to the one. I want to check the three first. Show you some stuff. All right. Now we're going to break this down. The reason why we're going to do it like this, I want you to be able to see everything. Okay. So we're going to do 357, and we're going to do just 936. So we could not cut off any price action, right? Okay. Now, mind you, look at this, right? Let me light the wood real quick. Oh shit. Forgot the wood was in my hand. So my whole point, right, is when you're looking at stocks, right? Typically, you notice how every time you open, and this is due to the fact that you start stocks every day at 9:30, and we talked on like how 90-minute cycles are so perfect. So if you are coming into a 9:30 open, you're immediately tossed into a New York Q3, immediately tossed into a distribution cycle. It doesn't start in manipulation with the candles. Pre-market is going to be your manipulation. Ooh, you might want to write that down. Pre-market is your manipulation, and your Q1 and your Q2 is going to happen, right? Because stocks open, it's going to be your what is it, 4 o'clock in the morning? Pre-market starts, right? So a lot of times people say, well, pre-market's so random. No, it's not. And you're very welcome to look at another asset that helps you along with SPY. So even if you don't trade NQ, hint, or if you don't trade other things that are associated or close to NASDAQ, find another market. I'll be honest, I really like futures. You can go to NAS 100 and check out what accumulation and manipulation are doing during the pre-market. So when you open at 9:30 open at 9:30 open, Jesus. But when you open at 9:30, you can actually see what you're looking for. So what do we do immediately, right? First things first. New week opening gap. Okay. Let's get this out the way so you can see. Now, how do I know where that is, what it is, and why do we care about it? So what I'm going to do is, do you see this gap that opens up between here on the Friday and the Monday? Now, when we talk about new day opening gap versus new week opening gap, it's really just because of when the gap occurs. Okay. So from a Friday to a Monday is going to be your new week opening gap. And what I'm going to do is, I just want you to notice how many times we pass through this level. Okay. All right. Now, what's interesting about this, all right, something about your new week opening gap and new day opening gap, which you'll get used to as we talk more on it on the channel, is that you'll actually notice a few cool things you can do with gaps, uh, especially on SPY. These are typically like the main ideas I like to use for a SPY, like the opening gaps. Um, Not for just immediately trying to get into a trade at 9:30. No, it's for narration. Once you get wind of what the price is doing, um, while trying to figure out how it's referring to the gap or not, it's going to really give you some leeway into what you can expect for either a few hours even into the rest of the day. So my thing is, do you see how again we talked about Monday being like either X or A? It could be very consolidated. You know what I mean? And notice that it goes through our opening gap, not just once, twice, 4 to 5 times. You know what I mean? We go through this thing, reference it again. It doesn't leave it alone, right? Now, the thing about your opening gap, if you were able to see the opening gap and you got like, you know, a situation like this, that's annoying. Okay, we'll do it like this. If you got a candle and this is, let's say Monday, let's say that's your Friday. If you get move it into the gap, right? Right it open, how you see here. You're going to learn more on this channel about how you can interact and see if prices is going to stay one direction towards the majority of the day using your opening gap, or is it going to give you all this retracement how you're looking at it? When you keep touching these opening gap, when you open and immediately either tap it, consequent encroach from this, or that means trade 50%, or you come up and you either reference it 1 or 2 times and then take off, guarantee you it's going to run the entire day. Guarantee you. And you see here, we do the complete opposite. We trend through this. It creates a consolidated base, right? And by the end of the day, both sides of liquidity are completely taken. So let's operate this area and talk more on what's in order. Okay. I just wanted to give context upon um, new day opening gaps create a scenario where inside of your narration, you're either going to expect this to go. And again, like we said, we like a singular tap, maybe a fill, and then dump the other direction and stay a certain bias. If you start getting all these crazy directions, it's probably going to stay consolidated or give you a seek and destroy type of profile. Okay. And seek and destroy is just when price comes back into the range. And it's like an average that you can kind of put on your, again, the same way I'm putting the new day opening gap or new week opening gap in the middle of my screen so I can show you how many times it gets referenced up and down. It becomes an anchor point or like a middle point, almost like an equilibrium. You know what I mean? Right. Now, mind you, let's check out the gaps or check out the PO3. Now, the reason why I fucked up and said gap because I was looking dead at this gap down here, the move off the low and right up. Now, how you're viewing this right now, right? Let's do this. Okay, I want you to pay attention. Now, I'm not too caring about the gap because we talked on what it does. We'll keep them. Now, watch this. Now, realistically, right? When we fill this gap, okay, and I'm just going to put in a small error so you can see what I mean. Fill the gap here. All right. Once the gap is filled, you see how we come up slightly and we miss the EQ and we still have PO3 liquidity resting underneath us. So when we opened, right, after the gap was created, we immediately go to fill it. But it leaves sell side liquidity inside of its trail. So the first low gets taken here. But mind you, we do take some liquidity, but not all. We don't make it to the low all the way. See what I mean? Right? And so we talked about power of three liquidity before. And do you see how, just to give you context, we've already been to the high, okay? We've interacted with it. We've had a lot of consolidation there, even went above the EXT and came down already. And so when we talk about the Monday price action, and we're just getting started. And so when we get down here and we take this imbalance or new week opening gap, fill it, we come down, And oh snap, oh snap, oh snap. Okay. We came down, and then do you see how when we took this low, we failed to touch the algorithmic low of the three? So when we trend up, trend up, trend up, right? It does the same thing on both sides. And I talked about this being a more accumulation based day. See what I mean? Failure to touch the high, failure to touch the low. So what is it going to do naturally? It's going to give you some wonky ass shit where it does attack the lows first and it gives you quite a few. Okay. Now watch this. I'll show you something in a moment to where this is going to look a lot cleaner. But the biggest thing is that you see how you come down eventually from the EQ and take the sell side liquidity first. Let me point to it. This price swing takes out all this sell side liquidity, fills in our little PO3, and then we take that to the downside. Now, mind you, I guarantee we can look backward and find another target that is not just this one. So when you're asking me, yo, why does it go 10 times lower if it's going to go inside the gap? Or fill in the rest of this gap inside of the partition is what I keep trying to say, right? I'm clearly stoned, but it's fine. So watch this, right? Now, you see how we have a stop run here? Clearly. Thank you. Now, I'm going to bring it up a time frame so you can see what I'm aimed at. All right. Let's go up to 15. All right. Now, mind you, let's do this here. Show you one thing at a time. And do this for yourself as well. I have a lot of students that do this thing sometimes where they'll put on everything I've ever taught them on the screen at once. So it'll be like dealing range, it'll be sessions, it'll be annotations, it'll be lines, it'll be um old trades they might have from their long or short position, or just all these things that they're trying to reference like at once. In reality, do one thing at a time. You're not forced to do all this crazy thinking at once. Like, just do one thing at a time. So the reason why I backed out for a second, and I'm trying to figure out why price stopped directly here. Why? Why would it go directly lower if it's going to go higher? And why exactly here? There needs to be a reason. So when you see this here, boom, got it. Okay. So what is all this? What is all that? And the reason why we can expect one out of two, and what I mean, right? You have this low here. You also have the low of the Friday here, and one that's right in the middle of these. The reason why I'm looking here and here, because typically you see how of the week, right? Tuesday made the low of the week here. See that? Low of the week did not need to get referenced just yet. So if you look at these liquidity pools, low hanging fruit is what we call this. Clear target under a previous day's low liquidity, right? Now, mind you, you started here, you came down, up, and then back down, right? And so when we come down, back to our 2 minute, I'm going to show you two, okay? Now, be mindful of the time here, okay? Watch this. Now, we talk about kill zones and things like that. And so when I'm giving you guys how to participate, okay, first thing you'll want to be mindful of is what did price do immediately? Notice how we came, filled the gap. There is buy side liquidity above here. And you took out sell side here at 9:30. All right. Now, once a low has been taken, and I mean on the short term, right? It's likely to give you a reversal. So there's no more liquidity down here from now. It needs to create some more and give you a reversal. So when you have points like this, you need to be understanding of the narrative. Okay? Now watch. Like I said, there's liquidity underneath us here. So you're not surprised when price starts to break down and you're thinking to yourself, yo, where's my possible high of the day? Now, it might seem like this is a good spot to deem this high of the day. Now, it's not just because of structures in hindsight. It's because of, what did I just say? Time. Break it down. Ready? Notice how, right here, ready? Your kill zone is that 9:30, because you started 9:30, obviously, to 11. Okay? So I'm going to put this one in as the start to our kill zone. And I clearly locked it. All right. There we go. Now watch. When we make a low here, right? Ooh. When we make a low here, right? Make a low. Watch this. Notice how I'm focused on the kill zone first and what's available to me in liquidity. Once we step out of this 11 o'clock, right? Now, this is on grounds for a price to stay bullish. Now, I told you before how if you want to operate some of these levels a lot better, you need to get used to doing what we call the half shift. Now, again, you might be a beginner and you're just learning about the levels. Ignore this part and skip a little forward if you don't, if you're not comfortable with whole shifting in general. Okay. Now, the reason why I'm giving you this type of perspective, right? Let's clean it up. Is I want you to be understanding of price. Is when you half shift it, right? Notice that my perspective of this slightly changes. All right. Now, notice how this becomes a real area that we can really use. Now, I'm gonna mark that same area, right? So Monday we got 9:30, and I really want to put in our 11 o'clock. Jay, why don't you just keep them? Shut the fuck up. So, watch this. Notice how I've told you before about the EXT level, and we're on a new day. So when we're operating in this area, right? We come down, we make a low, half shift to 3 on SPY. This should give you a good perception of the marketplace if you ever find yourself near an EQ, stuck, or you figure out that price might be giving a massive reversal, okay? And you're trying to figure out if price needs to expand from the EQ and go higher directly, or if you need to break down how it does and go down first. Now, you notice how it opens like right on like a near EQ. We go back to it, and there's smaller objectives in here that bring us up, down, up, down. But realistically, like I said, if you need to stay in control, upshift it by 1 on half. Okay? And you notice, doesn't this look like, wow, maybe I could come down, maybe I could buy it. But realistically, we talked about there's a lot of PO3 here, and there's a lot of lows that are engineered within the marketplace the more you go through time. So notice how this is 12 o'clock coming into our 1 o'clock hour. Ready? Once price breaks down, instead of holding this as a low, all right, and this is the important part about half shifts, you're using this to gauge and trade manage. So you're not going to come in and say, you know what, I'm just going to half shift it all over the place. You want to see price aligned in a way that makes sense to you. So when you get above this EQ, stop, run, and back down. Now notice your next kill zone. This is really a nice PM session trade. That's what takes the cake. So here, your first move is bullish. You trade this up. You're underneath liquidity, smaller turtle soup, and you buy it. You can aim at this algorithmic high or aim at the EQ a little higher. Now watch. When we talk about the PM session, right? Let's do light blue. Okay. 1 o'clock to 3. Now, the PM bullet is 2 to 3. I like looking at this from 1 to 3. Gives you a wider window. And on top of that, now you start to have some fun, right? when we break this down, it doesn't seem so scary. And especially because we're on such a small PO3 number, you don't really have that much to really worry about in terms of um, highs and lows and whether they're going to get super disrespected. You just need to come in and narrate in a way that feels comfortable for you. And so, knowing I've told you before that you can take cells and use your entry hack right off the high, you're at an area to where your entry hack can be enabled. All right. We got a root candle here with a wick. We break down. We don't touch the wick at the top. When we have two bearish candles here, we know that this is a go. We love that. Now, this one here is not too far if you want to get really energetic. And we'll do this on another set of examples so you can see how powerful the entry hack can really be. Took a few today. But the biggest thing is when you're looking at these root candles, these are in my mind where I'm not expecting price to get back to. And again, coming off the high, liquidity is a fractal concept. So you don't always, I've told you before that there are majors and there are also what I call minors, which are the short-term ones, right? It's not paired to anything completely, like a session high, session low, whatever. It's just clear as day. When you get to a resistance or a support, right, you're going to find all these little points that price is likely going to aim at because you can see how abundant in liquidity you are in this area. Low, 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 low. Does not stop. So when you get to something like this and you see it takes out the ones at the top, leaves you something to use as a root. Yes, it's going to attack this and demolish it. Yes. That's what we're aimed for. And you complete the partition all the way down. And you know to take your profits when you complete the partition. Now, let's get off of this real quick. Let's get to the Tuesday. Now, I want to talk to you about something also really quick. Notice how this is clean. Why? Like I said, when you get started inside of 9:30 open, you're immediately tossed into a distribution. Q4 can be the same direction or reversal point from Q3. So this being sell side, this going bullish. This is a nothing but a Q4 reversal here. Function. Q4 rev. You consolidate for Q1 clearly. Now, why do we take out both sides of the marketplace? You manipulate down and distribute up. Do you see why 90-minute cycles is the fucking shit, my guy? And you can understand that this is a real algorithmic high right here of the three. Manipulation. So it's likely to give you a sharp move like this. And you need to be out on impact because it could give you, I said this before about manipulation. What does it look like? It could be a huge move down, super far, super fast. It can end up being a V, how it is here, or it can end up being it's like a, what is that? It's almost like a up, down, up, down. It's almost like a W without the last curve type shit. Or it could just do a W. You know what I mean? It could look just like that or like this, you know? But reality, this is clean price action here. Very, very consistent. And that's what you want from a manipulation. And so when you're bullish after this, right? What do? Pop down on our 5-minute, right? Wow, fair value gap. Well, what are we going to do with that? Check it. Now, notice something, right? Notice how I was half shifted, okay? Now watch. Now I'm going to go current, all right? I was going to say, where can we find said fair value gap? Ding, 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 ding. And you notice it's not just a fair value gap, it's also a fair value gap coupled with an order block on a higher time frame. So watch this. So we're going to put in the fair value gap, and we're going to find this order block. Now you see how perfect that fair value gap is. Bring it back. And again, the fair value gap candle, and this is a real gem here. This is for people who watch my videos, bro. I'll give you small gems every time you watch one. So I might be talking about something specifically, but I'll give you another gem. So watch this, right? Notice how this fair value gap candle is, again, I've said this before, where they're not conformed to just my fair value gap level. And I might even be able to go to the 9 and show you another perspective. But what I'm saying is this fair value gap candle, it trends up to the level here, creates the gap. It goes to the fair value gap level. We trend up just above for the rebalance and then back up. It has to hit the order block level in order for it to be a fair value gap order block combo. But the fair value gap itself is going to be inside that level still. It's going to reference that fair value gap level still. And notice and be clean with this. Ready? Watch. I want you to notice something specifically. Notice the bodies. The bodies are respectful of the fair value gap level. The wicks do the damage to the actual imbalance because it wanted the order block. But people ask me all the time, yo, is this still respectful of the fair value gap? Of course. It's in the right level. In a discount, which is underneath EQ. And price does really not many things, honestly. It goes from premium, discount, discount to premium, makes imbalance, rebalance imbalance, and uses math and time to get there. So my point, right, when you're watching this, right, let's go. Haha, bingo. There you go. Now, don't ask me why I went to the 11-minute time frame. I also leave you little hints on things. And people ask me about certain things I might talk about. And so realistically, right, like we said, we're looking for an order block. White candle down, purple candle up, takes out the high of this candle, up, back down, right into my order block level. Looks like an order block to me. So you have this bullish order block, and you have clean buy side liquidity here. And so we understand, like I said before, coming from your bullish order block, what can you use to verify this? And look right when this starts. Order block is created right when you start your distribution. And why do we know to aim upward from here? We talked about Q1, right? Q1 is liquidity. It's all accumulation. All right. I was about to say, did I spell that correctly? Hopefully. Oh shit. Yo, I ain't gonna lie, this weed kicking my ass. But it's some good stuff though. But realistically, do you see why this is important? Q1 is just like Asia. It's no different from that. Or if I wanted to reference that as maybe like a Monday, you know? All of these do the same thing in terms of function. Q1, both sides normally gets taken out. You see what I mean? That's why that's so important. We would know to trade upward from here. You get a fair value gap order block combo, right? When you start a distribution, which is a long, insane price swing, knowing that the Q1 from the Monday here, the PM Monday, 90-minute cycle, is wide open in liquidity. Aim for that shit. Take out 60% and hold a partial. That's how you do it, man. All right. And so when we're talking about this, right, and do you see why I break down every day the way that we do? And no, yes, we are still on Monday. I don't give a fuck because we're going to talk about sessions, not sessions. The way that price needs to generate buy and sell side liquidity, it's not difficult for you to actually run something that makes sense as a tangible idea. Ready, watch. Ooh, now this is so easy, isn't it? Once you take out this Q1 in liquidity, right? Notice how the end of the day, we formulate this little high of the day. Monday becomes high of the day. What do we do from there? huge imbalance. We come right back into the imbalance. And the whole idea of the day, this is your main idea. This thing is like a wall. So can we expect prices just randomly trade through this thing? No. But how do you break this down in time? How do you work with that? Right? So to our 15-minute. And so when we're looking at it, right? Let's break this down now. Not 15. Let's go back to the 3. Notice how when we talk about numbers on this channel, right? I say power of 3 a lot, and I'll be on like a 3-minute time frame or referencing the number 3 in a couple different ways. Now, what's significant about this? Now, so far, it's such a bad idea. We talked about this high the Monday, dropping down on the Tuesday to make a clear ass imbalance, right? It's huge. Honestly, it's fucking huge. When we say what's open for liquidity, like I said, Q1 is similar to a Monday. You notice that both sides eventually get taken out. So right here is a Monday low that was wide open, right? That's why you see price drill down there on Monday to take out that previous low that we talked about and to give you more sell side liquidity. So when you generate up and you take out the buy side, this leads you into a perfect piece of the puzzle, man. Perfect. And so watch, we're going to come in and we're going to replay it. And we want to select our bar. Right there. Perfect. Now let's get a read on this thing, right? So realistically, we talked about the gap and we're going to break it down by time. But the biggest thing is, right? I can't wait to get these edibles. Now watch this. So we're on a 3-minute, right? Let's break down our zones. And it's all time, bro. Notice how I don't talk about like, oh, well, this is a support level. I'm using time first. We get to that way after. Time is of the essence. Okay? I say that all the time. Now, mind you, typically someone in here would look at this and get slightly scared. Now, when you see something like this, right? Price immediately opens because we talked about you get immediately tossed into a distribution, right? It just trends. The moment you fucking open, it just goes, right? I know, scary. You're going to have a lot of people who end up catching it and a lot of people who don't. So it's going to create something in the marketplace that's very special. It's going to create fractal flout. And what fractal flout is basically is just basically the easiest way to explain it in my head would basically be like something like this. You have an area of sellers. You also have an area of buyers. Okay. It creates a little funnel in the marketplace where liquidity is made specifically to um, basically get taken out. So it jams down quickly, right? Causing all these retailers to be in profit and they think they're slick, right? And the biggest thing, when they see this here, they get scared and start trying to close it. And it makes a massive move back down. But the only thing is, obviously, we're going into the Wednesday once we do that. But when we're looking at price action here, you actually break this down the same way we did with 90-minute cycles, right? Okay. Now, let me just put in my vertical line so I can do it correctly. All right. Now watch. Now, the big thing about this is when you get to the manipulation, me personally, I like SPY during PMQ2. It's a really clean situation only because you have more market context that you can actually refer to instead of being immediately tossed into this distribution and having to figure it out fairly quickly. All right. Similar to the one we did here, it's very similar here, but on the buy side. But what did I talk about? I can make this really simple. What do you need to aim for when you get to that Q2? And look how clean this is. Watch. No dealing range. It's just the start of 90-minute cycle. And what do you get? A hybrid. You get a entry hack, right? Multiple wicks to create a hybrid root. You get price coming down, respecting the lows, breaking the highs. You get two bullish candles in a row, fair value gap, rebalance of that, and we take off. You can take it down here. You can pyramid in the gap, aim for buy side liquidity. Now, the cool thing is, watch this. Now, look how you're operating. You understand that this is going to be a panel that's too far, too fast. You're looking to take out this Q1 high. It's simple. No dealing range. Like I said, I have over 80 models that you can use. That's what's so special about this content. You're not conformed into one style of trading. I work with more than one personality type. Hundreds of people I've taught with different personality types. Can I teach the same thing and say, hey, you're forced into this now if you want to make money? No. You take what I say, you remix it, you personalize it. You follow the rules though, and you personalize it. And what do you get again if you really need to verify it? Another one. Just like DJ Khaled. Another one. Right? So whether you have like propulsion blocks, whether you have liquidity voids, or however you would like to identify price, right? Q1 is wide the fuck open. So I don't care where you want to aim at. And the funny part is, right? Remember how we talked about this gap here? What do you think you need to aim at? My point exactly. This is wide open. It went way too far. So when you're coming down here, if you don't get it in the morning, you're going to get it in the PM. It needs to come up in tag wide open imbalance. The void of, because it's a SIBI, right? Sell side imbalance, buy side inefficiency. It needs to be met with some buying. So, yes, you could participate from down here, aim at liquidity and the gap itself. Ooh, clean, isn't it? We know. We know. But what I'm saying is that's a really, really simple narrative for that day. And when you come into other price action, right? And again, we don't have to go through everything. But the biggest thing is what I say, where all last week is easy, easy, easy ways for you to come in and participate. And you just got to be understanding that price is obviously fractal. But what I'm telling you is you need to be able to come in and operate some of these points. So immediately fill, order block, come down, buy side liquidity made for later. For later, right? And how do we know that? Now in this panel, right? Also not going to take long. Watch this. 9:30 to 9:30, right? Boom, new opening gap. We trade up and we stop. Now notice what time it is. Right into my kill zone, baby. So 9:30 and 11 is going to be our kill zone, right? 10:45, 11 o'clock. Now, first one, right? Do you see how right in this little time window you get a nice bullish move? Okay, watch this. Check me out. All right, we're going to run through this thing like water. You know what I'm saying? And perfect, like this. Now, I need you to pay attention. All right, now watch. Talk about gap. Okay, gonna get rid of these. Now, I want you to be able to really see the gap. All right. Now, mind you, this is what I talk about. You can do some cool shit with this opening gap. And it's really, really easy to operate. I'm serious. It's really easy. So I'm going to push this over just a little bit. So let's do 350 for that. All right. So just so you can get a glimpse of, like, between yesterday and today, whatever. And Just a few candles before we operate this. What do you notice? First of all, 9:30 open, and now we're really in a kill zone here. We run up, gap here, leave some open. What do you think is the objective? What do you think it's going to do when it springs up like this? Just sell off and ignore this? No. Hell no. This is what we call a new day opening gap. This is not a Friday to a Monday. New day opening gap is any other day of the week to any other day of the week. That's the only difference, really. But they perform the same. So, do you see why I said, like, hey, if we're going and we're looking for bias, right? And it's 9:45 in the morning, slightly after open. Now, when we get to about 10 o'clock, this is the meat of the bones right here. Meat of the bones. I'm hilarious. Ready? Between that 9:30 and that 10 o'clock, your distribution cycle, right? Now, when it sets you up correctly with a nice way to get in, now this is a lot different. And you can actually use this right at that morning session and take a nice trade. And hold this through Q4 because Q4 is nothing but either a continuation or a reversal of Q3. So if you are bullish, you have other targets, right? You can for sure hold this through a Q4. Okay. Now Goldbach levels. Look at your levels. All right. Stop run. Now you know this. Stop run. Comes up. Fills your gap. That was your main focus as to why you were bullish anyway. So when you check your Goldbach levels and look at where it reacts from. Oh man. Shit perfect, ain't it? Right here. 3 low. Right? Where's your fair value gap? The real fair value gap. Right here. Look at that. So clean, bro. And it rebalances right in your fair value gap level, although the candle, like I said, can expand through the level. Just it needs to refer the imbalance to the level in some way. It's going to normally go right through it because it wants to be a good gap. So 2 rebalances of this fair value gap. This right here is your rejection block. Okay. You have rejection block, breaker, fair value. So what are we looking at? Come on now. Put your thinking cap on. We're looking at algo 2, yeah? Check me out. Rejection block. Right to my breaker level. Back to fair value gap. And where did we land? Opposite order block. Rejection block. Breaker. Fair value gap. Opposite order block. That's algo 2, my guy. I'm telling you, you gotta be able to see these things in the marketplace. Even if you're only able to see just the fair value gap, this is clean. And people are used to taking them, right? And we can take the levels off so you can see them, right? And look, it's right as you're trying to fill the gap. Like I said, that's been your main focus. So that's why I say it's no problem to take the trade down here. And you also have a clean entry hack, one of the best ones I've ever seen. That's what I mean, bro. If you haven't seen the entry hack series, go watch those 3 and 4 videos. That should be 4 by the time you probably watch this. But look at the entry hack here. Over the low. Or my bad, you're respecting the low, taking out the high, 2 bullish candles. Really nice speed here. So anywhere on this candle is nice. You know that the move is starting. And you could pyramid. And you are buying. Gap filled. We talked about Q4 and Q3, their relationship. All right. And again, you get to run that for the entire 90% of the partition basically before you get Q1 to reverse that shit. Super clean. I love stuff like that. And so that's why I say, like, you know, the Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are some of the best days that you really need to come in and try to operate. Okay. And so, whole thing is here. Our whole main idea before we would have been done for that day is to run that bullish move, mostly complete the partition. And outside of, like I said, we operate normally on the three, so we're not going to be needing to stay super long and be done, bro. It's not going to do much with just consolidate if it's going to make this big of a move on the Wednesday. But like I said, when you get to like the Thursday and the Friday, watch, we'll just knock these two out real quick. Ready? Watch this. Now, NFP was on the Friday, so that's why you have this gap right here. Okay? Now, mind you, we talk about narration, right? Liquidity. It's all going in order. Okay? Talked about this here again. What do? We come down another 9:55, 10 o'clock. So what are you going to do down here? Buy that, right? And why would we buy that? Check it out. Trading View, Trading View's been quite trash recently. I don't know if you guys have kind of peeped it, but they've been definitely doing some weird shit. But anyway, so you see how we have this gap here, right? Huge gap. Let's refine it. There we go. So right here, same thing about these gap fills. These are easy. And majority of retail traders know about gap fills, but what they don't know is what happens after that, right? So again, you can operate in so many ways here. It's so easy. Where's your entry hack? Again, come on now. It's the same way you've seen it. And look at the time. 9:58, 59, or my bad. This is 9:51, 52, 53. Huge candle, range runner, you get in, and you have buy side liquidity that was given to you at the gap, although the gap is not filled. You want to look for buys, right? Versus that. And you're going to see because you have a liquidity pool that's above here too, that's clean. But also with the Goldbach levels, look at that. You're already coming from, why do I do this every time? You're coming from an algorithmic low almost every time. Perfect, bro. That's the where you want to be. That's that Donnell Jones, bro. That's where you want to be right there. Where I wanna be type shit. You feel me? Right? So watch. And look, mind you, whole time is giving you clues for the Friday. That's why we're pairing these 2 days together type shit. All right. You have power three liquidity coming up here. Now, mind you, just real quick, you start buying. You're in a distribution, right? You come up. When this is almost done, this is going to give you a retracement. Be mindful. Before the end of this, it's going to likely give you a retracement if it needs to have some other lower, smaller objectives before a bigger one. Okay. Now, I pointed out the power of three liquidity that was up here in this box, but when we're looking at it in reality, right? Watch this. All this power of three liquidity that was navigated here, and remember how we had this gap here, right, on the 15? But watch. Let's go to a minute. I have to go to a 4 hour. Yep, I see it. I see it. I can see it. It has to be on our. Let's check the 11 again. Yes. Yep, I found it. What I'm saying is, what I'm looking for, do you see like what price was reacting from in this area over here? Remember, I had to mark this on a custom time frame. Now, if you don't find these like the 11-minute imbalance here that price was aimed at, don't worry about it. This is slightly difficult to find in action. Okay. But my whole point is when you're looking at something like this whole gap has been a main idea the entire week. And so also, if you notice that you sold right from the gap here, if you're in the PM, it left a lot of liquidity on the way to the gap. Every single time we try to go up, couldn't quite get there. All right. Now, when we gapped, right? We gapped all the way up and we landed in the fucking gap and we came out of it. Now, what did I talk about with some of these gap ideas? You need to be aware of it. And that's your whole Friday. You open up, gap is made, you come down into it. Once this gap is here, and let's clean this up. Once this gap is here, right? I've said the word, yo, if somebody can count how many times I've said the word gap, yo, you're gonna laugh. So, you come down and you feel this, right? But every single time, what do we say? You're probably in some sort of level to where you can operate this in a certain way. Okay. So I'm not going to highlight this anymore, but you're going to see where you land, right? Notice how it gets to a real algorithmic level that you can use. Why doesn't it fill in all the way? And again, just end of the video, advanced stuff to where you guys are, um, you're going to learn more about once you get to my Discord. So realistically, right? Again, we did the little half shift again. Now watch the vibe. All right. And like I said, you're only coming to half shift it when you are operating, boom, when you are operating from an EQ level and you start to get a lot of consolidation. That's why it makes this clean. Because from here, you then are able to complete a half shift 3 partition. Now look at the vibe. Watch. If I put it back regular, look, it's an EQ, right? It goes up, 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 up. Now, where do you land? Watch. Right at the top of this. Yeah. And so I want you guys to be really understanding that price is fractal. You can do so many things. And the idea is to this one is that you came down, you filled the gap, came down to an EQ half shift low, and you started to play ball. And so what do we find again right when we get to this area, yo? How many times have I showed you the same fucking thing? Right? So where do you find certain structure? Now, if we dip down to something like this, right? Why would we do that? You know why? What is this? You can find regular fair value gaps and inverse fair value gaps also on your fair value gap partition. Now, there's probably a bigger time frame regular one in here, no problem. But you could come down and definitely use this one for an inverse for sure, which would look like this, right? See how price made a sell side imbalance and actually worked for like a second to get down here. But when we actually go down, we go back up and we disrespect it, right? Straight disrespect this thing. Ooh, no respect for you. Coming down, right? It comes back down and it creates actually a support system instead. Now, it's my down candles right now are white, but when you're looking at this move here, this becomes a supportive sell side fair value gap, and you buy that. And ultimately, you take out liquidity from there. Clean as can be, right? Now, mind you, be mindful of the time here. Okay. So look, 10 o'clock in the morning. This is your kill zone, right? So let's mark it out. You have your 9:30. And remember, your kill zone is technically till 11. but your 9 to 10 hour can really do some damage here. And so let's go 10, 57, 11 o'clock. Cool. Now, your first move of the day, what do? You know the imbalance is going to fill, right? So you need to come into this area here and sell that fucking thing. You serious? What? Now let's get in here. How can you sell this? What do you do? What do you do? Now look at that. Come on now. You tell me you can't operate that? EXT level, which is the premium of the premium. And look at that. Perfect resistance. Pop down. What are you going to find here? Order block, fair value gap, right? And where is that? Order block level right here. Big ass candle coming from your order block level. Small candle in between, which is your order block's high. Completely respects the mean threshold. And you have your gap. I love that word now. Right. Fair value gap. Now, that one's a regular fair value gap sell side, right? And the candle itself is still coming from your fair value level. Like I said, it can expand through and still give you the structure you're looking for. Order block, fair value gap. You have sell side liquidity pool, sell side liquidity, right? So you go down, rebalance it 2 times, and boom. You don't want to see a rebalance more than 3 times, I'll be honest. A fourth will kind of make me a little nervous, I'll be honest, but this is super clean in terms of narrative, no problem. Okay. So just with all the stuff that I'm showing you, man, I mean, it's really not hard to navigate some of these structures at all. And again, being on the 3, I haven't changed my dealing range yet. You got to understand when you want to be half shifted, whole shifted, and understand how to work your trades. And where do you get from down here? Completes the dealing range. Let's zoom out. See that? It's clean, my guy. See what I mean? It's clean. That's it. Now, where do you react again for the last time? See? All your levels, you need to be right inside of the pocket. If you want to take the fair value gap, use the fair value gap level in your quotation, bro. It's not difficult. You know what a fair value gap is. If you don't, go watch my fair value gap video or ICT's fair value gap video. So, man, that was fun. I will catch you guys in the next video. Hopefully that was helpful in terms of looking for more organization on SPY. Damn, I gotta roll up again. Damn.